If you're someone that suffers from FOMO, over-leveraging, revenge trading, or even overtrading, but you think you have something that might work in the markets, and you're not too sure as to why you are doing these bad habits, then this should be the video for you. If we put aside our own human tendencies as to why we might be doing such bad habits in the markets, then it can only mean that you have distrust in your own system. You might have something that you think works, but as soon as you enter a trade with this system and you start having overwhelming feelings coming in, you start having doubts coming in, it only means that you have distrust. You're not 100% confident about your own trading plan. So we have to ask the question, where does distrust actually come from? Well, as humans, we prefer to have certainty in whatever it is that we do. And the reason why I say prefer is because the world is very much grey. It's not so much just black and white, where you can be confident in absolutely everything that you do. Humans prefer certainty. It gives us comfort. It gives us confidence. Whereas uncertainty kind of makes us a bit on edge, keeps us worried and stressed out all the time, which is not healthy. And so with trading, it's very much uncertain as to what can happen. No one has 100% certainty as to what can happen in the markets. And because of this uncertainty, it can then start to induce these things that I've just mentioned. So now you might be wondering, how do we actually develop more trust, gain more confidence in what we're doing, even though what we're trying to achieve in trading is not certain? Well, we have to take something which we know is certain, which is maths and science. Now, maths and science is used to predict the future. 1 + 1 is always 2. And I understand that in trading there are a lot of indicators and tools out there which use percentages, mathematical formulas and equations to calculate a certain figure which you're looking to react to when price moves a certain way. But we're not going to be using maths and science in order to predict where the market's going, but we're going to be using it to be able to justify our own system and give ourselves more trust and more confidence in that trading plan. I'll be honest, something that I didn't do until recently was to actually statistically log data about my own trading system. Now, I do say a lot that we should be backtesting and journaling, but what actually do we mean by backtesting? Well, it quite literally means going into old moves, measuring and annotating and getting actual raw numbers, physical data about what happened in all those scenarios that you tested. For the vast majority of my development as a trader, I was journaling a lot of trades, but I wasn't statistically getting the raw figures out of these examples that I wanted to show to myself and take forward with me. Now, there's just something special about doing backtesting, about getting the raw data, which it just clicks something in your mind. Now, recently I did actually decide to do some proper backtesting with proper data for every single week of trading for the whole of 2022 and the whole of 2023. And similarly to how you could reaffirm to yourself by saying something that something's going to happen, or being able to try and remember something by physically saying it out loud. It's a similar case here, where if you get the raw data and get right down to the bottom of the scenarios that you're testing, it begins to solidify and reaffirm in your mind that you've done the research. You can now have confidence in your mind because you've done the absolute 0 to 100 of that specific scenario. And so when you take that data and start compiling it together to make your own trading strategy, you then can have more trust. You just start to feel more trust in your own system that works. Now, I'm not saying again that you should be using maths and science to be able to predict what the market will do, because you can't. But you can use it to justify your own proof of concept to trade. And then at some point when you then begin to forward test and demo trade, and by then you will have found out if your proof of concept actually plays out in the real live markets as it's printing. And then as you move on to live data and live trading, you'll begin to see the results of the research that you put in for all those hours. This is something that I wish I would have done from a lot earlier stage in my career as a trader, or in my development as a trader, because there's just something about getting the raw data, about reaffirming and solidifying in your mind how key it is to have these raw figures in your mind when going into live trading, because things become less uncertain and then more certain in your mind about what the most likely thing is to happen. What is, for example, the most likely day to be the high of the week, or the high of the week if bearish, or the low of the week if bullish, for example. So when you see these examples and you then come up with a statistical conclusion as to why such things happen with whatever it is you're backtesting, then this can then give you more confidence and more trust in your trading strategy. Again, nothing is certain in these markets. You'll never be able to predict all the time what's going to happen. So you're going to have losing trades. But as long as you're taking trades and you're taking the trades within your rules, within your strategy, within the proof of concept that you formed using all this justification of data that you've compiled together, and if you still lose, then so be it. You just have to acknowledge that this is part of the game. It's just a cost of doing business. And at the end of the day, you can't win all the time, because otherwise, if it was this easy, then everyone would be rich, wouldn't they? So I understand that there's a level of work ethic that needs to be done to be able to backtest, to put in all this time and effort to be able to do that. But when you gather all these conclusions from all the different kinds of backtestings that you do, you come up with a conclusion and it solidifies in your mind that this is the most likely thing to happen. So when it plays out and you win, you start to feel happier knowing that what you've done and what you've found out from your own research actually does play out most of the time. Therefore, as a result, you'll be less inclined to want to take trades which are outside of your rules. And so you won't want to perform these bad habits. But as I said, this is something that is within the technicalities of trading. As we know, there are human tendencies which are completely outside of the charts, and it's something that you have to fix outside of trading. And so because of that, when you start developing more trust, you'll gain more confidence, you'll start to have less conflicting factors and doubts coming into your head, because you've already affirmed and reaffirmed in yourself and solidified that what you've seen is most likely to happen. And so therefore you'll not be as likely to take impulsive action, and you'll just want to submit to what happens in the markets. So I hope this clears up a lot for you guys who are having some sort of distrust in your system. And for most guys, they won't realize that they do have distrust in their system, but they're just putting their trust into something and then just allowing themselves to take on whatever rubbish comes towards them, whatever doubt and conflicting emotions comes their way. that is not trust. That is signs of distrust. So that just about wraps up this video. I hope that cleared a lot of things up for you guys. Stay happy, stay blessed, and thanks for watching.